Want to change your life? Change your sleep habits. The topic for today.
I mean, we generally don't change unless our back is up against the wall. And if you had a chance to just wave the magic wand and let it go away and say, I wish I didn't have this pain, I wish I could just sleep, but we would have missed out on the lesson from that. The topic of today is 10 ways to get a proper night's sleep and why it's so vital. Tim, could you think of a more important topic? Without proper, consistent sleep, every single one of us is compromised, don't you think?
Yeah, listen, Steve, you know my circumstances, and I spent literally several decades as an insomniac, and it affects every part of you, everything you do. It affects your relationships. It reflects your business. It reflects your work. It affects everything. A good night sleep is vital, and without it, you've got problems.
And it's estimated that 70 million people in the United States suffer from sleep disorders, and other people that just have a difficult time sleeping. That's just sleep disorders. So it's affecting all of us one way or another.
It does affect everybody, and nobody enjoys a lack of sleep. It's not like you can say, oh, I had a bad cough, and you just deal with it. Lack of sleep is hard to deal with, especially when it starts to accumulate.
But isn't it so interesting that we can get used to anything? We can get used to back pain. Doesn't mean we like it, but we still curse it out every day. But we can get used to not getting the right amount of sleep and the right quality of sleep. And we do. It becomes our new norm. It's where the bar gets lowered and it just stays there until it gets even lower after that. Don't you agree that it's so easy to stay in that?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I hadn't really thought of that in the way you just described it. But it is true when people would say, especially when you look like you haven't slept, people go, oh, dude, you're all right.
Yeah, if it's gone that far, you're really messed up.
But I only because you just brought that up, I remember thinking or saying out loud, oh, no, last night was a good night. I had almost 4 hours. And you're right, dude, 4 hours now, it's a rough night again. But, now I can get 6, 7, 8 hours pretty regularly, where that would have been a dream. That was literally a dream, years ago.
You mentioned in a previous conversation that you suffer from tinnitus as well, and so do I, which is ringing in the ears, and many people do. And that's another hurdle to get over when you're trying to fall asleep.
It creates a different set of problems. So even as I describe that, listen, I understand that not everybody has tinnitus, and ringing in the ears, that's some people have had it temporarily, but imagine it never going away. Imagine waking up with it, falling asleep with it. It's just always there. It's always there.
Yeah. We're a product of the 80s too, so 70s and 80s. So lots of bars, lots of bands. And the reason why I wanted to really speak about this today was because you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you had a problem sleeping, and I knew this actually, but you did say that you tried some natural aids and they didn't work because you weren't healthy enough. And I thought, wow, what a great topic, because so many people are on medication to sleep at night. Even if it's just once a week, it's way too much. You decided to attack it from a different point of view. You decided to get healthy first. And then those natural aids, those things we're going to be discussing today, were quite effective. Whereas when you weren't healthy, you couldn't tell, right?
Yeah, it's actually, it's my number one. When I look at my list, it is my number one item on how to improve your sleep, and that was to improve my health. Now, ironically, it was not the sleep that made me decide to improve my health. It was that I literally got sick. I had an issue outside of sleeping that made I had to fix it. And little did I know at the time, pure nutrition, just eat right. Find a system that works for you, that floods your body with nutrition. And I started to change. I physically started to change. What I did not know is that once you are healthy, once you feel good, you will sleep. And that was a side benefit that I had no idea, that simply improving my health would do that. And it did, in a radical way. So as we were alluding to before, I was one of those people who were on pharmaceuticals to sleep. And I could tell you, listen, some other time, I could tell you stories that would make your head spin about what pharmaceuticals do to a human body, to a human brain. It was crazy, the things that used to happen. And of course, that cycle made me even less healthy.
Sure.
And actually, that's probably one of the reasons why I was so unhealthy.
So you changed because you had, I mean, come on. I mean, it's like with all of us. I mean, we generally don't change unless our back is up against the wall. We just don't, I mean, and then at that point, when you think about it, when that happens to you, you're at your low. And if you had a chance to just wave the magic wand and let it go away and say, I wish I didn't have this pain, I wish I could just sleep, but we would have missed out on the lesson from that, don't you think?
Yeah. And it's funny too, because I do tell people now, just do what I did. Just do what I did. And it is like a magic wand. It is.
Yes,
And so it's
yes.
simpler than I thought,
Yes.
yet they still won't do it. The habits, the comfort level that we find ourselves in, they just won't do it, even though I'm evidence, even though I'm proof of that. But what I wanted to get to, Steve, is that
Yes.
because you brought it up, and the pharmaceuticals is one of my things to avoid when it comes to solving your sleep issues. I don't care what a doctor tells you. I don't care. Like, and I won't use a brand name, all right? But it's a common brand, and I would take this pharmaceutical to fall asleep. And when I first started doing it, I did fall asleep,
Sure.
and I thought, "Oh, this is wonderful." Thought, So what I learned later on is, first of all, you're not asleep; you're unconscious. You're just not conscious. Your body is not truly at rest. And the bigger problem is that those pharmaceuticals start to build up in you and build up in you and build up in you. And eventually that same little pill that I would take at night did not have the same effect. And I was not unconscious. I was simply intoxicated, inebriated. And then to your other point is that later when I finally got healthy, and I said, you know what, I am not taking those pharmaceuticals ever again. And I remember when the last one was in that bottle, and I took it out of curiosity, and it did the same thing. It made me unconscious. But I was happy it was gone. Well, I switched to some natural spray that included melatonin, included chamomile, just a fantastic natural sleep aid. Nothing, zero, did nothing. And I was like, that stuff doesn't work.
Because the stuff doesn't work, right, Tim?
Of course not.
Doesn't work.
Except
Be the product. It's got to be it. Yeah.
as soon as I started to do some detoxing, and I don't mean like in a facility, I just mean healthy detoxing, and like I was feeling so good about doing all of these things. But the minute it took quite a while, I would say probably it took at least 3 months, but maybe it was more. I said, I haven't taken a pill in so long. I've been sleeping better. I wonder if that sleep spray would work now. And this is no joke. So I said, all right, put my sleep spray in. Like, I don't know if this stuff is going to really work well at all. And I was almost immediately getting tired. I said, oh my God, I had to get all that chemical out of my body. I had to get it out. And now I don't even need it often, but that sleep spray works like a charm. And it's all natural. It's natural.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So that's another one of my items on my list.
Yeah. All right, why don't we start banging out some of these items?
Sure.
Here's something that I love to use every single night. And I use this because of an overactive mind. I mean, come on, who doesn't suffer from an overactive mind? It's every one of us. So I find this fantastic. And I've mentioned this to a lot of my friends. And some people just won't even try it because you just get used to the way things are. That's not me. So it's counting backwards from 300, believe it or not. It's counting backwards a specific way. I'll tell you how I do it. 300, 299, 298. And you just keep going backwards. Almost like they're putting you under anesthesia. Count backwards from 10.
Yeah, it's sort of like the counting sheep in an adult way.
Yes. And
Yeah.
what happens is that you'll find your brain can't focus on two things at once when you're trying, especially when you're laying in bed. So it forces you out of that thinking about all the negativity and all the things you have to do, you didn't do, you should have said, I should have said this to her, this to him. All that goes out the window. And what happens is you start losing count. And that's fine. Like I'll drift off, I'll lose count for a couple of seconds, and whatever number I want to pick up with, I pick up with, and I keep going down again. And I'll tell you, the lowest I've ever gotten is 200.
No kidding.
That's with a very active mind, was 200, maybe a little bit below 200, but that's about it. Generally, I prepare myself quite well for sleep these days, so I don't have to count backwards for too long. But I'll use it just about, I would say, really every single night.
That's fantastic.
It is.
That's fantastic.
Excellent.
once I was able to sleep again, I found myself now being very conscious of my pillow. And can I make it comfortable that I'm not even thinking about my pillow? If I'm aware of my pillow, then I'm not comfortable. I tried several different pillows. People were actually buying me gifts of pillows, and none quite worked. I found this one particular one, and you've seen it on TV, and I thought it was all a joke.
Is it My Pillow?
Yeah, it is.
I bought that one too. I don't use it.
So you know what? You have to find what's right for you.
Exactly.
So I tried the foam ones, and I love them. They're so comfortable, but I couldn't sleep with it because it was just too firm. And then I tried other ones and contoured ones. And it was my nephew who said, I have this pillow I got off TV and blah, 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 and I love it. Like, you know, I have to try it. I have to try it. And it was guaranteed, so I have to try it. Sure. And almost immediately I said, oh my God, I'm not even thinking about my pillow anymore. So it did work. So that would be another one on my list is getting a very comfortable pillow.
Then you know what? That segues right into my next one, which is the bed. I mean, come on. Now, guys, don't turn this off right now. This is so important. You know, we get used to things so easily. I don't mean used to where it doesn't bother us anymore. I mean, we just get used to the pain or the discomfort, and it's just the way it is because we're so busy, we don't question anything anymore. And we wake up, my back hurts. Well, my wife and I, after 14 years of marriage, we decided to get another bed because we hated our bed. We hated it from the day we bought it, and wake up, 14 years later, we're still with the same bed. So we went to Bob's and we picked up a foam mattress, second from the firmest, not the firmest, and it's adjustable, like the old people use. But it's great. So we slept on it, and it was so much better. Before, I was only able to go about 6 hours without waking up with back pain of being in bed, whether it's watching TV, sleeping, whatever. 6 hours is not long enough, and I lived with that for years. So getting this bed, I was able to move it up to maybe 7, maybe 8 hours. And it did feel better, but it was a little bit too firm for me. It was hurting my back, but I was still better than what I had. Now, most people would have settled for that. And I said, no way, man. I said, I spend too much time in bed. And it's so important to get the right sleep, especially if your spine's involved, if you have any type of back pain. So I went online to Amazon. I ordered a couple of 2-inch gel foam toppers that you put on top. And because it was such a firm mattress, it made sense to go a little bit softer. And I did. And my wife thought I was crazy because Amazon's at this house every single day. And I'm doing this. And she goes, you're such a tweaker. You're such a tweaker. So the second one I bought worked perfect. I'm able to go 11 hours if I have to. Not that I should, but I can go 11 hours easily without back pain. My wife tells me every night before we go to sleep, I love our bed. I love our bed. Every single night. So I'm just saying, this is so important. We overlook the things that we should do. We know sleep is important, but we don't do anything about it. The pillow, the bed. Hey, that's foundational. If you don't have that right, nothing you do is going to work. So how about your next one, Tim?
Some of these I'm going to tell you that I know work, but they don't work for me because of my circumstances, which have a lot to do with tinnitus, as we discussed. Yeah. But the light in your room. And this is especially true, like in some of the studies I've done, some of the reading I've done is talking to people who work at night and have to sleep during the day, where this is just so important. But you have to keep all light out and control the light that is in. So today, too many lights, well, first of all, we all should switch to LED, but if you buy just a standard stock LED, sometimes they're what's called blue. It's cool blue. So it emulates sunlight. That's not comfortable light.
I don't like that at all.
Right. So you need something warmer that's closer to incandescent, which is much more orange and red.
2,000 degrees, 2,700 degrees Kelvin, somewhere around there. It says it.
If you can get it right, if you can get it below 3,200 or below, when you look at the color, 3,200K is what they'll say. 3,200 or below, at least you're close to an incandescent light. Keep it as warm as possible. People also tell you, like, you have to make sure that the room that you sleep in is a comfortable color to you, meaning the walls, the ceiling. So, blue might look great. You love blue, but if it's going to, make your eyes open because you want to see it or whatever it is, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely warmth. I mean, I went from a gray room, gray walls and a white ceiling to a very deep, dark red walls and a slight beige ceiling. And the warmth when you walk in the room it makes such a difference. You just feel that warmth and coziness right away from the warm colors. And it's got to have an effect on how we sleep and how we are in the room in general. Yeah, my next thing would be relaxation exercises. Lots of things are in that category. I would put hot baths in that because, man, if you really want to cook your body and mind and soul into being totally relaxed, you submerge yourself in a nice hot bath for 20 minutes, really hot. You come out of there, I don't care how active your mind is, it's going to be off. But with that, relaxation exercises, I go on YouTube, and I have quite a few YouTube guided relaxation techniques where, lay down, tighten, squeeze your toes, relax, and there's light music playing in the background. Wow, what a beautiful way to go to sleep. And you can set, I have it on my phone, so I can set things to automatically shut off, and you don't want commercials popping in the middle of your sleep. You're sleeping, you're relaxed, and all of a sudden, you get like a commercial, bam, right in your face, because you didn't pay for the YouTube service that's commercial free. But very helpful, extremely helpful.
First of all, I'm going to completely agree with you there. Even though that was not on my list, I'm going to completely agree with you. I wrote down meditation and music. And even though I'm not yet good at meditating, I certainly know that music helps me. Because of my tinnitus, I frequently use the TV as noise to try to drown down my the ringing, but music can do the same thing. I found myself in hotel rooms. I found myself, at Airbnb where there was no TV anyway, and music solves that problem for me. So I simply have music and meditation, a little bit different meditation than yours, but relaxing. So I actually going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to combine those and completely agree with you.
Great. Excellent. A lot of people suffer from acid reflux, bad sinuses, and lots of other things along those lines. And sleep is quite difficult with those challenges as well, not only with tinnitus, which I have as well, and a lot of people that grew up in the 80s, 70s and 80s, but acid reflux is really huge. And one of the things I did was I raised the headboard of my bed, the head of the bed, 6 inches. Now, 6 inches isn't this, okay? 6 inches is this. It's just looking at the bed, you can say, oh, it looks like it's on a little bit of an angle. It's not a lot. But I did it in increments because what happens is that when you get acid reflux, it's because your esophagus is parallel to the ground. And whatever is in your stomach, it will naturally flow back up if you have a problem with the valve at the bottom of your esophagus, which is really what most people have to some degree. So sure, you can not eat before you go to sleep and not drink. And that is extremely helpful. And we shouldn't do those things really before we go to sleep. But raising the headboard of the bed, it allows the esophagus not to be parallel, and it keeps everything in your stomach. So now you don't have the pressure on your valve, and you don't have the reflux coming into your throat, burning your throat, and leading to other problems. And another thing, I did it for myself. My wife's got terrible sinuses, and she says it helps dramatically with her being able to drain her sinus. All the blood doesn't go into your head, all the fluid. Really interesting, so much so that when we go away, I have to jack up the bed somehow. So, I'm looking around the room and I'm pulling things off the shelves. I'm putting underneath or I'm putting extra pillows underneath the mattress in order to raise the mattress.
I somehow picture you like going through airport security and someone saying, what are these 6-inch boards you've got in your suitcase for?
Oh, got to tell you something.
But yeah, that'd be very helpful.
It is the best night's sleep you'll ever get. And how you've raised the bed too much? You or your wife will end up on the floor by the next morning because I started waking up and my wife's legs are hanging off the bed. I'm going, okay, all right, I'm a tweak, all right, but I went too far. So I went back down 1.5 inches. So I really just take 2x4s, which are 1.5 inches.
Right.
And I put them under and that's it. And I'll keep adding and adding and adding until I feel that, we're still on the bed. And I found the greatest incline with you still being on the bed is the best. It's fantastic.
I'm going to tell you something, Steve. So one of the issues that led to me discovering how sick I was, it was little over 3 years ago, was acid reflux. And it was really, really bad. And finally, my doctor looked at my throat and he was like, what? How long have you had this? And I swear to you, I said, have what? He goes, like your throat, it's burnt. It's like it's damaged. He was like, do you have heartburn? I'm like, oh, yeah, doc, I do. I'd ignored it for too many years. So like, I'm a man, I'm a dude, so I ignored it. Well, that led to me to the discovery of just how ill I was. So I will tell you this. So getting healthy has almost completely eliminated acid reflux.
It's the first step of everything. Yeah.
But the sinuses, like there's no the same thing. There's no real cure for that. And I still have that. So I'm curious now if I was to raise the bed a little bit, if even that, just the drain my sinuses might be very, very helpful.
Well, you got to lose.
Yeah, so I like that one. I like to try that.
Your wife has to agree with this, of course. A friend of mine who had extremely bad acid reflux did not agree with this, raising the bed for years, and she'd rather have her husband on the medication, and he finally gave in and did it because it got that bad. And he says it's great. He's off the medicine. I went off my medicine 2 days. Was it the next day or the day after raising the bed? No more. I was taking 60 milligrams of Nexium a day, and it wasn't working. And by the way, that's the worst thing you can do is keep the acid out of your stomach, because now you're not breaking down proteins and fat. I mean, come on, it's just best thing I ever did. Now I don't have to pump my body full of those drugs, which are going to lead to other problems and other side effects years down the line. And then they'll give you more drugs for that, and then you'll take more drugs, and they'll give you more drugs for that. Before you know it, I walk into CVS, you can't even get near the pharmacy counter. It's jammed. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on in this world.
Don't get me started on pharmaceuticals. Again, Steve, another conversation. Another conversation. So I'm going to combine a few of these issues that I have, or the things on my list. So one of them for me is social media, and I really enjoy social media. I do find it fascinating to communicate with people and to see what's going on. I like it, but I have to stop social media far enough in advance of me needing to go to sleep. And I can't explain exactly why, but as much as I enjoy it, it does force you to think about too many things. And, in general, people will tell you, knock off the TV. Not possible in my world. I need it for the tinnitus, but so I can drop the social media. Like, I just put the phone down. Like, that's it. No need for this right now. I want to go to sleep in an hour. But the TV is another one of them. Make sure that you drop that kind of stuff out, so that your brain is open to other possibilities, and then eventually falling asleep.
Yeah. I'll actually put in earplugs if my wife wants to stay up later and watch TV. I'll put in just foam earplugs, quick, boom, boom, in and out. It doesn't knock it down 100%, but it knocks it down enough where I can, and she lowers the volume. I can put myself into that zone. I mean, even better, get wireless headsets. So if you got, someone that stays up late and someone that doesn't, there's no reason to keep arguing about this. Just get a pair of wireless headset and and darken the TV. You just hit
that's a good one.
Each person can get what they want without having to leave the room and sleep in another room, if you really think about how you're going to do it. I mean, there's one thing good about getting older is hopefully we get wiser. I mean, we're not in our 20s anymore. We're not in our teens. I mean, we've learned enough. We really need to put what we've learned, into the forefront of our life, and really be dedicated enough to say, listen, not every decision we're going to make is going to be easy, but the important ones are going to be difficult, and we have to stand by those things. So if no caffeine after 2 o'clock gives you what you need, you can't succumb to those impulses. We have to be strong enough to say, we're going the right way. We're not going the way of weakness, where I really want this now.
Yeah. In those days, I had just way too many issues, so I had to eliminate at least one. I had to start working on them.
My chiropractor mentioned it to me once years ago. He said melatonin. So your body will not release melatonin, which allows you to fall asleep, unless it's in a dark environment. So ever since I read up on that a little deeper, I realized how important it is that if you're going to fall asleep with the TV on, darken the screen. Make sure there aren't any other lights in the room on. And as we get older, our body stops producing or greatly reduces the amount of melatonin that we produce. So you can go to any health food store and pick it up, but be careful. It is a hormone. And, 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams is basically what most people will take, but only if you need it. And again, I still personally don't take it unless I really feel I need it. I'd rather do the other things first. In other words, be healthy, not eat before I go to 4 hours before I sleep, don't exercise 4 hours before I go to sleep, don't drink a lot of fluid before I go to sleep. But in those times where you go out on a Saturday night and you had a couple of drinks and you come home and you're full stomach and, sometimes you need a little extra edge, but the melatonin is, I found it extremely effective. But again, you could overuse it. I took 3 once, and that's still within the recommended dosage, just out of curiosity. And I woke up extremely, extremely groggy for quite a long time. So just like anything else, you can't overdo it.
You brought up one other thing there too, and I don't know if you realize what you had said. Is alcohol. Like, so many people think that alcohol, because it's a depressant, helps you fall asleep. And to a degree, right? So you may, again, sort of like the pharmaceuticals, you may pass out. It may help you become unconscious faster, but it actually disrupts your sleep pattern. So, if you've fallen asleep because of alcohol, trust me, it's not a good quality sleep. Even just a few drinks. Now, I'm not trying to tell people don't drink. Right? Nobody enjoys a cold beer more than me, but it's only occasional these days, and I have to be aware. The quality of sleep that night is just not going to be the same as other nights.
Mixing alcohol and caffeine. Whoa, the occasional times when I'll do that, not going to be a good night's sleep.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know why I just thought of this, but like one of the crazes today for the young crowd is that they will, and I hope I say this the right way, right? They're going to take one of those energy drinks that are extraordinarily unhealthy, have an insane amount of calories and sugar, and then they'll put alcohol in that, make that a drink, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous, raising and lowering. Right? It's a stimulant and a depressant. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Right. So, and then the last thing I was going to have on my list here, and I guess this sort of goes into some of the other things that you've talked about. So maybe where we conclude, some of these can merge, is I do use a breathing technique, which I'll put into your relaxation category, or even maybe my meditation and music category.
Sure.
And it is taking very deep breaths in with your nose and then slowly releasing it with your mouth. And it's so strange because again, when you do a little bit of research, you find that we don't breathe right. We just don't. We literally don't take in enough oxygen the way our lives work. And when you really get a tremendous amount of oxygen into your lungs and therefore into your bloodstream, your body is satisfied and it can fall asleep easier. So I do these exercises. I guess it's sort of like your countdown, where you're supposed to do it 10 times and then do it 4 sets of 10. Like, I never reach the end, and never do I reach the end. So like, this is one of those other kind of exercises that you can do to really help you fall asleep, quality sleep. Oh my God. You know what I just thought of, Steve? I want to add one more thing. So sleep has improved dramatically for me. But I got introduced to essential oils. So right now, generally speaking, almost every night, we diffuse lavender into the bedroom. Now, this is what I found. For me, what did it do? It didn't help me sleep any better per se, but I noticed that for the first time in all these years, I started to dream. And I hadn't had a dream. I can't even remember.
Interesting.
In my world, I don't think it made me fall asleep any better, but it made the depth of my sleep definitely better. The lavender, as a high quality essential oil, it really did help. Wow. I should have wrote that down on my list. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's amazing once we start turning things over, what comes out, right? I mean, if we take the time to really delve into things,
right,
and which is great. This is what we're doing here. We're learning as much as we're teaching. As far as the deep breathing that you said, I set a timer on my phone to vibrate every hour. It's not an alarm. I just have it vibrate. And for me, it's a reminder just to take a deep breath and relax for a moment, because you see where I am. This is where I work. I'm in my house, and I'm constantly multitasking and handling 3 to 5 times the amount of work that most people generally can and do. And I find that extremely helpful. So not just breathing fully and for sleep purposes, but throughout the day to handle stress. And stress is all internal anyway. It's never external. So I found that helpful. So that was just me piling onto your thing. But I do cardio 30 minutes at the gym, and I find that when I do cardio, I sleep much better, and at the same time. It allows me to fall asleep 1 to 2 hours earlier. So, those times where I say, I don't have time to go to the gym. Well, if I really look at what happens, not forgetting about the health benefit, which is huge, putting that aside, instead of falling asleep at midnight, I'll fall asleep at 11 or 10:30. So for me, it's a win-win deal. But reminding myself of that is very important throughout the day. Go to the gym, because, I will gain more time by going to the gym based on what I just said. and a better life. So
listen, I'm not a gym rat, but I do have a membership and I do have some equipment in the house, and I fully concur with you that when you exercise, especially if you really get your heart rate up, it doesn't improve the quality of your sleep, and the more likely that you're going to fall asleep earlier. That's a great one.
Yeah, as long as you don't do it 4 hours or so before you try to go to sleep, because you're going to be too revved up. So
don't do it too late. Right. Okay. Right. You don't want to get your blood rate up. You don't want to get your heart rate up that close to trying to go to sleep.
To start coming down, not going back up, not going up.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so we overlapped in a lot of areas, and I'll tell you, there isn't one thing that you mentioned that could not be on my list.
Where to me, health was number one, and I found it by accident, and sleep started to find my way. But I'm going to include health and exercise as a combined element, right? So number one, just improve your health and exercise, and really those go together, right? I did all nutrition, and when I finally felt good, I was able to exercise. And listen, exercise is 20% of good health. You have to do it. You'll never be complete if you, and vice versa. You can exercise all you want, but if you're not feeding your body right, you'll never get it. And sleep will come. Sleep will definitely come. The other one that I think we completely agree on is melatonin. Now, I take it via a spray that includes some chamomile and some other things in it. But I think that we completely agree on that too. Not pharmaceuticals. Something natural. And you were talking about the milligrams, and it's interesting because I just looked at this. Now, this says proprietary, but it is 90 milligrams. So that's a lot more than what you.
That's not 90 milligrams of melatonin. That's 90.
Oh, okay.
Everything combined. If it was 90 milligrams, you'd probably
too much.
I don't know if you even wake up.
Right. It does not tell me. I'd have to find out. I have to read a little bit more. But I think we completely agree on that one as well. So, of course, with exercise. Now, this was interesting, right? So I say pillow, you say bed. So let's just.
Oh, pillow's right up there with me too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say let's just the comfort of your bed.
Definitely.
Comfort of your bed, and
bad neck. I mean, everyone's got a bad neck, or will soon.
Yeah. You have your relaxation exercises. You meditate. I use music, and I think that those all go together. And I think if you find out the right way to meditate, use music, and have some relaxation exercises like that, is a tremendous one. And that's 4. So I have to really, what would you say is the last one that we would concur that is all the same?
Did we go over alcohol and caffeine? How it's terrible?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. So I think that you're right. The 5th one would be the caffeine and the alcohol, 2 different elements, but you have to be just being conscious, being aware of those 2. I would agree with you. And everything else we mentioned, all honorable mentions.
Yes, definitely.
Health and exercise overall, natural supplementation, melatonin, caffeine, whatever it is, it's not truly natural and pure and works for you. Don't get caught up in the wrong thing. Being comfortable, bed and pillow, the 2 vital things to us. And you could even include just the comfort of that room, whether we discuss lighting and all that kind of stuff. Relaxation exercises, meditation, music, and then, of course, exactly what you consume during the day. That caffeine and alcohol can be vital and have a massive effect.
And, I was doing some research on this, and some people put, and this makes total sense because this is the way I feel, animals in bed, your pets. We don't do that. We have a no animal zone. In fact, especially with any allergies or anything like that, I have, because we have cats and I've had dogs in the past. But the bedroom, my office, and my closet, our doors are always shut. That's it. No pets allowed. And I've had times where my pets were allowed over the years to come into the room. It's gonna be a hard one for people to give up, but it does add another element of difficulty to sleeping. It does. Yeah, I forgot about that one because I don't allow it, so I don't really keep track of that. But that's a huge barrier to sleep and an intimate relationship.
Right.
But if you don't want an intimate relationship, say, "Oh, honey, I think we should let the pets in. Wouldn't that be nice? They can snuggle with us and stuff, and whatever."
No.
So anyway, I think we covered a lot of topics here, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing all of your ideas because some of them I had not thought of. And you give me different perspectives on the ones that I actually fully concur with you on.
Yeah, I'll make a couple adjustments as a result of this conversation as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go get a bed topper, a mattress topper.
Oh, yeah, let's talk. I'll send you some links to some stuff I tried. And
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and please hit the subscribe button, and do like the video if you liked it. And thank you, Tim Ryan. I'm Stephen Arecco, and ciao for now.
You're welcome, Steve, and thanks for having me.